Thanks for having me, Eleanor. Really excited to be here. Today I'm going to be talking about writing. And so, okay, so let's jump right into it. So, just as by way of introduction, my name's Hamel. I have I'm an independent consultant, just like Eleanor, just like Isaac. And my business depends upon good writing because, let me just stop sharing my screen so you can see each other. Um, you know, like it's important that people get to know who you are, what you're interested in, what your expertise is, so on and so forth. And good writing is really crucial for that. I would probably say my entire business is driven off of writing. And writing means many things. It means like blog posts, emails, lots of emails. Um, it's sometimes it's talk notes. It's also social media posts, everything like that. Now, I will say it's not all driven off of AI. It's like human in the loop. But let's just jump right into it. I don't want to talk at you too much. I just want to show you things that may or may not be helpful. I'm trying to get a sense who's here. Okay. There's some people in the waiting room. Let me let them in. Okay. So we got a lot of people here. Got Greg is here, so that's cool. Thanks for coming, Greg. So let me share my screen of my laptop. It's a little bit different than what I usually do, but let's try to go here. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is monorepo. So I'm not necessarily a monorepo fan. Let me just open this up real quick. Can you see my screen? Am I sharing?
Yeah, you're sharing, but can you zoom in a little bit, especially on the terminal? It's really tiny.
Is it only sharing the terminal?
No, now I can see the browser. It's good.
Okay. It's sharing my whole desktop, right? Okay. It's sharing the whole desktop, right?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
the
Okay.
whole
All right.
desktop.
Cool. All right. So basically, I have a monorepo, and the monorepo is really important because I have a bunch of ad hoc projects, and I have some more permanent ones. But you'll find that like, you know, it's hard to write in isolation, and it's really hard to stuff everything into a Claude project, honestly. Because I have consulting proposals, but some of my consulting proposals, I may want to bring in something from one of my blogs if I'm writing a proposal for a client. I might want to put some links to some blog posts because I think it's relevant. I haven't started using Ruler yet. Shame on me. So I have all these different rules in here. I need to clean it up. I haven't done that yet. That's on my high on my to-do list. You should check out Ruler by Eleanor if you want to know about that. But anyways, you'll see a bunch of stuff in here. One of the things that I'm going to talk about is okay. Number one is if you want your writing to not look like slop, that's the biggest concern, right? You're gonna write something, you don't want to look like slop. So what is slop? Slop is, I mean, the best definition that I've heard is low information per token. But another definition of slop is it looks like AI. And a lot of times you don't want it to look like AI. So let me just show you um, some things that I do to make my writing work well for me. So one of the things is um, I have a Gemini project and I use Gemini and I found that Gemini tends to sound a lot less like slop. And my theory is because I think a lot of people are just not using Gemini. I think most people are using ChatGPT or Claude. And so you use ChatGPT or Claude, your writing's going to sound like ChatGPT or Claude. Whereas you use Gemini, your writing's going to maybe sound like Gemini. It's just except that not many people are using Gemini, relative to the other two, I think for writing. So it's just, it doesn't sound like everyone else, first of all. So that's just really simple. I have this evals sort of workflow here, or this evals gem. It's called gem in Gemini. And basically in this gem, we can go to edit. I can show you what's in here. Just to give you, it's a little bit clunky user interface sometimes, honestly. Okay. So it's like, I have all the lessons from my course. I'm gonna show you what does that mean. These are not just like these are very carefully curated context. So I have like combined Discord notes, and then all the lessons of my eval course, and then this eval's FAQ. Now, what I have is like the prompt is you are helping Hamel Husain with various tasks dealing with LLM evals. I just changed this, so this is some nonsense in here. So yeah, like I need to delete this. So I just changed it. So like yeah, I just have like the guide to this sort of thing. And it's just like a work in progress. I'm constantly changing it. I was just changing it like a few hours ago. I need to go and clean it. But like this is the part here that helps me a lot. This like writing guidelines. It's kind of like trying to sort of, you know, defend against slop. Like do not add filler words, make every sentence information dense, get to the point, use short words and fewer words, avoid multiple examples, blah blah. It's all this stuff. And I can share this. I'll just put this in the chat. I mean, you should like curate your own. I don't think there's too much alpha in, oh, it looks like that's above the chat limit. Let me just see if I can, no, that's still above the chat limit. Okay, I'll figure out a different way to share it. I'll put it in a gist. I'll just dump some stuff in a gist here. And then we can keep going. And I'll just keep dumping stuff in there. Okay, so I have all this stuff here. Now, the thing that's really important is like careful context management. So let me show you a little bit about what that looks like. So I have this like Discord. Let me open the Discord of our evals course, which Eleanor is really familiar with because she also spends a lot of time in there. She's a TA in that course. So here's an evals course. See, there's like lots of different channels. And it's an amazing source of information because, there's thousands of questions. There's hundreds of questions every day. And, there's questions like, there's all kinds of conversations. This one is just like saying thank you. And like this one is about course logistics. This one is like just, saying something nice, not really asking a question. Whereas like some of these in here, this is asking a question, which Eleanor answered, right? And so basically what you want to do is like, you don't want to just dump the entire contents of this Discord into an LLM. That would be a really big mistake. And so everything you put into your context should be carefully curated, especially when it comes to writing. And so like the insight is like, hey, I don't need all this information. It would be a mistake to like throw all of this at an LLM. It would just cause context rot. And like, is there anything I can do to clean up this data? So I have some code that I can show you. Actually, let me just open the real notebook. That's a little bit more fun. So let's do that. Jupyter is taking a little bit longer to start up today. Don't know why. Jupyter is stuck. Let me see. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I don't know why it took so long this time. Okay, so I have this like thing, Discord fetch. And basically what it does is it like, I have utilities to get the context. So this particular library is not open source, but I could show you the code. I could like provide some of the code. I mean, this is very specific to me, right? But I just want to give you an idea. I can I'll share the prompts as well as promised. But like, okay, So, I'm fetching the Discord history. This is just getting the information, so this code isn't as interesting. But once I do get the information, um, so first of all, like, okay, it's important to look at the data. So I have like, a way of pulling the information with a CLI, and the CLI is key because in here in this monorepo, I have this like Hamel's tools thing, and this is very similar to the way Isaac works. Is like I have like these tools, and these tools basically have a bunch of like scripts. There's only 3 in here so far, so it's like I'm still working on it and still generalizing. This is like transcription, creating YouTube chapters, annotating talks, so on and so forth. And I can give it to in this monorepo, I can give it to my agent. But let's jump back out of that rabbit hole. So like, before when I was cleaning this data, the first thing I did is like look at it. So like this is an example of a thread, and I'm doing this in a notebook. And this is really important because as I say, look at your data. And I had to go through and like figure out, first of all, how to look at the data really quickly. I didn't want to just look at it in Discord per se. I wanted to like, and like, okay, this is like a question from Powell. And you can see like it looks like Discord almost, like the styling. Just because and I have like organized the information. I have like threads and replies separately. So it looks a little bit different. I thought about like, okay, how can I organize the information from Discord appropriately? And then like once I get this information,
Sorry to
yeah,
stop you, but like a brilliant question in the chat.
yeah,
How is it rendering so nice? Like, well, how did you do the output of
yeah. Thank you for asking.
this
Yeah,
conference?
please ask me these questions. This is a very good question actually. So the way you render this so nicely is like Jupyter has this repra HTML under this dunder method. And this is a special method that you can attach to any object in Jupyter, and you can render data however you want. And that's great because like, and I had AI help me do this because like I didn't go through and I mean, there's no way that I would have done this myself, right? And this is very, very specific to this data and like this specific way that I want to render it because, you know, and so like I have this other method, LLMs TXT, which we'll come to, but yeah, that's how it's done. And you'll see, okay, and I do this with all kinds of data. This is like my favorite thing about notebooks is like I can render any data in the exact way that I need to render it. And I don't have to go to a separate interface. I can just like keep playing around. This is that same thread in an XML format. And you can imagine that's useful because like we're going to hand this over to an LLM at some point, and we are going to ask it to do something. This is basically, you always want to give LLMs like some kind of map of a data structure that especially if it's this complicated. So I have like, hey, you're working with Discord conversation data. The data structure is as follows. The root element is a conversation. You have a parent message. You have direct replies. You have thread messages and thread. How to interpret the data. Parent messages are typically questions. Direct replies are brief or, whatever. It's just like giving the LLM some context about what the hell is going on. And then I have this part of the prompt. This data is from educational Discord channels focused on AI evaluation. Instructor of this course is follows, and you have like Shreya, Hamel, and Eleanor. And the reason I need to know who the instructors are because I need to know like what the canonical answer to that question is. And it's either usually from Shreya, Hamel, or Eleanor. And then I say like when analyzing this data, assume messages from instructors are authoritative. If substantive questions about AI evals has an answer from an instructor, there's a good sign that the question is considered answered. And then like here are guidelines when extracting questions. Okay. So then I went through, so I did a lot of data cleaning. Like I spent multiple days on this. So I said like, okay, classify the following conversation as containing a question or discussion about LLM evals, machine learning, data science, whatever. The purpose is to filter conversations that can serve as useful context for an FAQ. If you notice, like, so this FAQ, so this talk, I'm going to show you an example the whole purpose of the example, there's this FAQ that I have for this evals, and it's like all these like questions, right? And it's like, okay, how do I curate these questions? Like, how did I write all this stuff? It's also this PDF here. Like, how did I do that? That's what I'm showing you now. So, hold on to your butts. This is in service of an example. So it's like, do not consider these as questions, reflective statements, or personal takeaways, pure social banter, course logistics, blah, blah, right? And then basically what I do is like, I take all this stuff, like this prompt. This is all like, it's in 3 parts for various reasons, because sometimes I don't need all 3 parts. And I give it that plus each conversation. If you remember, conversation is like this unit that is like either it's like a thread or it's like a message, a parent message with all its replies and its threads. Because sometimes people reply, sometimes people use threads, whatever. I organize it that way. And then I give it to LLM, classifies the question as, is it a question? And then I go through and like look at the data, quite literally look at the data again. Oh, wait, I need to get, so let me just get the lesson 3s. Oop, I need to run this cell, sorry. Let me just wheel the notebook properly instead of doing it like a noob. So I ran all the cells above. And here we go. Just getting the lesson 3 questions. Should happen pretty fast. And so, okay, so I have this like widget to help me look at data. So this is like the question browser. This allows me to look at things that I have marked as questions. This is just very ad hoc, right? I'm like, oh, is this a question? These are all questions. I'm like, does this look right? At this point, it does look right. But in the beginning, when I did this, like it wasn't looking right. And this is part of evals, right? Like this is what we teach. Is like the first step is looking at data. And so I went through here and I was like, okay, questions. Okay, are these things like questions? Like this person is asking, you've trained a judge, blah, blah, blah. Does this mean you need to go back and hand label and then Shreya answers, right? And these are like non-questions here. So I went through and said, okay, dev non-question, just to get a first like pass. This is like error analysis. Like this is not even error analysis. This is like before error analysis, just looking at data because I don't even know what I want. I'm just looking at stuff. Great. So when I was like happy with that, then I could like go through and process the data. So basically, what that looks like is, then I go through and I clean up the data and I only keep threads that have like questions in them. So I have this like get questions method, and the get questions method is, it was defined earlier. Let's just go back to it. Yeah, so it's like, hey, get questions. This is from the LLM. This parallel function is from fastcore. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's like amazing Python library that I really like. This is like the function that classifies the question as being like a legitimate question or like a question that we want to curate. But anyways, like we get all this stuff. We get the questions, and then we write the filtered questions to disk. And that takes some time because it's going through all the channels. There's like tremendous it's a tremendous scale of messages for a course. It's like it's like approaching 100,000 messages at this point. You can see like these are all the channels. So this is like what it writes out to right now. And basically what I end up doing is I like take a subset of those channels because not all of them, I know, for example, like not all of them are relevant to writing. And then I like concatenate them together. I make sure the LLM knows like what the structure of that is. And then I use that LLMs.txt. These are all like that LLM's txt format, and I just concatenate them together. So then they end up looking, let me show you the end product. Let me open this like Dropbox folder. There's actually a lot to show. It's impossible to show you everything, but hopefully this gives you some ideas. So let me see if I can find it here. So let me zoom in because you might not. So you can see this is the end product. You are working with Discord conversation data, blah, blah. These are the instructors. You've already seen this, right? And then this is like, hey, Discord channel lesson 1, conversation, parent message, blah, blah. And then, you have like actually a question from Hugo. And then you have a whole bunch of, it's like a thread. And then it kind of like goes on from there. But it's like, it's very curated. It's not all the questions. And it's like super important that you cut all that out because that would be wasting, context window, but also cause context rot. So there's that. So we only have like a very small amount of time left. Another thing I want to show you is, because I think like there's another lightning lesson right after this that Greg is leading. So I don't want to, I promised that I would stay on however long it takes, but I think we might just do a part 2 to this if we need to. So there is a more public thing that I have. Okay, that's how I curate context for Discord. But how do I do it for the lessons? So like the lessons look like this. So it's a PDF, okay? And the PDF is like, okay, these are like 1 hour long talks. So there's a video, there's a transcript, and there's slides. And if you were to put the video, transcript, and slide into a large language model, it would take up the whole context window, just one lesson. And you don't need all that. Like if you're gonna use this to write information, you could like just maybe use the transcript, but honestly, like that is also very that's unnecessary too, but it's also very lossy because the transcript doesn't have all the information in the slides. You really want both. And so this idea came from Sam Willison. Now Sam Willison uses this as an end product. He basically takes a lot of his presentations and makes it into annotated presentations. Just like this. So this is like lesson 1 and it's basically like, okay, the slides and then like what was said in those slides, but not an exact readout of the slides. This is actually like extra commentary that we said. And so very interesting in like with the timestamp as well. And I've actually published blog posts like this. So like if you see here something about inspect, for example. So like this entire blog post has like JJ Allaire's talk, but it's like, hey, it's like slides that he had and then like a synopsis. So it's like a 1 hour talk, but you can basically consume the talk in like 10 minutes instead of watching the whole hour and get the same information. So if like a human can do that, an LLM can do that too. So that's why it's important like to think about every piece of context that is going into your LLM very carefully and make it high quality. So that's what I did here. I have these PDFs. And so the way I did that is there's this public project. This is for me. So like, I don't really take pull requests on it. But it is like public. This is called Hamel. It's a Python package. It really doesn't need to be a Python package, but it is just for my own, like, whatever. But you can see here that, okay, I have like, I take a PDF. So a lot of times there's slides with talks. So I take a PDF, I get the images out. And this is a public notebook, by the way. You can, and then I have some previous annotated posts that I have. So this is like some previous annotated posts that I have on GitHub. Like, one of them is that inspect post that I just showed. And then essentially, it has like XML. I make it into XML format. It's not that important. And then what I do is I assemble the prompt. So I said like, okay, attached is a transcript of a technical talk for the attached slides. So the attached slides, like, I'm using Gemini, and Gemini is like my preferred writing mechanism because it's the king of multimodal. It's the best multimodal thing. And so in this specific situation, I'm passing in slides, I'm passing in a video, I'm telling it where to write out it's like slides that it like extracts. I'm giving it a transcript even if there is a transcript. If not, it'll try to extract a transcript. And then I'm giving it some examples. It's like, okay, attached to the transcript of this technical talk. I wish GitHub was better about rendering this and wrapping it so you could like show it. There's like for each slide, provide detailed synopsis of the information, and writing the article, provide markdown placeholders with appropriate captions where the slides will go, blah, blah. And so you can get the idea. Like there's a transcript, there's, sometimes if it's on YouTube, I'll even pull in the video chapters, pull in whatever information they can to like help guide the model. And this is like, my same writing prompt from before. I should probably be importing that somehow, but I just haven't got around to it. It's just like kind of a little bit messy. I'm like, okay, like generate a post, and then it generates the post, and then I can, it queues it up and it puts it in this like quarto format, and then I start editing it. Now, Isaac has a very similar workflow that doesn't depend on slides, and he's written about it, and I highly recommend it. I know that we are 2 minutes over time. I don't want to like monopolize the time, and I think Greg is go next. I don't.
We
I
have a
feel like
bit
this could
more
have been
time if you want. Up to you, Hamel.
okay. Yeah, I could do whatever you want. So I can keep
There is
going.
an interesting question in the chat from Servando. If you could talk a little bit about kind of the different levels of the workflow and why do you structure it like this?
Yeah. Okay. The different levels of the workflow. So really like the important part is like think about each piece of context and try to compress it in the highest quality way, right? So like this like lecture, if I were to give it video and slides and notes, it would take up almost the entire million context window of Gemini. It'd be total waste. And like I could only put one lecture in there. But by doing it this way, like, okay, now I have like a very compressed representation that is not that lossy. Like, it's very interesting. Like, it almost makes me feel like maybe talks should not, like, I don't know if I want to watch a talk again, and maybe I should think about the way I do talks. Like, if I can compress it this much, then maybe it's not as value, maybe I need to think about the nature of the talk and only have like interactive parts in the talk. But that's a different side topic. So like the first part is really just like very careful context curation. So the goal here is like, okay, for this entire evals course, what has like, I would say like has tremendous information in it because it's like so many videos and guest speakers and all kind in office hours. So there's like office hours as well, which I haven't uh, you know, gotten to yet. The office hours actually curate in the same way. And so office hours, I say, you can see like I curate it and I make it into clean questions, like how do evaluation concepts apply? This is just like a question and an answer. It's just a format. And this one, I didn't really have a code workflow. I thought I would just be like a cowboy and try just like, just, I was like, oh, this is an interesting like way to try like different models in parallel. So I use this thing called chorus.sh, which I highly recommend. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit so you can see like, so what I did is like, I just wanted to get a sense of like some models. So I said like, okay, let me zoom in again so you can see the prompt. Oops. I guess it's not really made to be able to, hopefully you can see that. Create an exhaustive list of the questions and answers from the transcript. Make each question H2. Put the timestamps right underneath the headings. Think really hard. Getting this right is important. And I was like, okay, Gemini 2.5 versus GPT-5 versus Opus 4.1. I just wanted to see the difference. So that was like, this was a result of just me. Sometimes I do these like ad hoc projects. I'm like, oh, this is a good time to compare models, get a sense. This course thing, like, I like use it to compare. So like, I keep, and actually I choose like different models and in different waves. And I thought about like which one I liked, but whatever. Though that's not the point, honestly. The point is like curating, like cleaning the data, because this is not a transcript. This is like a cleaned version of the office hours. And so, so the name of the tool is chorus.sh. Yeah, you got it. So every one of these contexts is basically like highly cleaned, highly curated. And when you do that, when you clean it this way and you keep shaping the data and you make sure that it doesn't contain like a lot of noise, then it's very easy. Then like writing becomes much easier. So that's like the first step. Um, the second step is like you kind of want to write like you code. So you don't want to do it in one shot. You want to, it's like just like you don't code, and like what Eleanor and Isaac will teach you is like, hey, like you want to first like make an outline of like or a plan of like what do you want to code, and you want to check that plan carefully, and then you want to code step by step. You're like, okay, you have this plan, let's do like the first item and like do that item, see whether it's right, then keep going. You can't like a lot of things it's really difficult to one shot something that's really good, at least for me, like because I like to check it because it's like gets off track. Again, what I'll say is like AI Studio. I mean, I'm not trying to sell Gemini. I don't get any money from them or anything, but it's just like the best. Sometimes it's like the best way to write stuff. Honestly, so let's see if I can find something that. Yeah, let's see if I can find something that I did recently. It gives you behind the scenes, even. Um, so yeah, this is great. So I had this tweet. I'm just going in different directions here. So I had this tweet. Let me see about Solve It. So let me find it on my profile. So somewhere here in this timeline, we'll find, yeah, this one. So this long tweet, right? Um, so okay. The tweet did okay, I guess. Like whatever, it's fine. I mean, I think it is popular, but it's probably popular because Jeremy and Jono are so good. It's not necessarily the tweet, but like, okay, like how did I write this? So obviously, first we did the actual lesson. It was like a 1.5 hour lesson about like what is Solve It, blah blah, whatever. In here, like, so I put the transcript in here. I said generate a YouTube chapter summary from this transcript that I can copy and paste into a YouTube description for this video. Um, and then what I did is I like actually went in and edited it. So this, if you don't know about the edit button, I'm just zooming in. It's very important for writing. So you want to edit it in place, and you can go ahead and edit what the model says, and that's like crucial because what ends up happening is it turns into in context examples, and it starts to ground what the model does. And I strategically picked the task of chapter creation because I knew that I wanted to write like a kind of a mini post later. But if I can get the chapter creation like correct, then now we have like better grounding of like what is actually in this talk. So I did that. And okay. Then I said create a very brief YouTube description. I don't know why the scroll is like messing up for me. I didn't like what it was saying, so I said like talk more about the innovative programming environment. I gave it some back and forth. So it gave me this. Okay, and I said, okay, make this really brief, no more than 5 sentences long, blah blah. Went back and forth a little bit more. And in this case, I said like sometimes I'll do this. So like, hey, this is what you said. Sometimes I won't change it. I'll say like, hey, I simplified what you said. Um, I have no reason for doing that. Sometimes I do that. I find that it works. Um, um, and I ask it for some more feedback. Give me some options. Blah blah. Okay. Then I ask it to give me some thumbnail ideas. I didn't like any of these, so I just said forget it. So sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, I went on a tangent here. Yeah, I like this is kind of a rabbit hole I went down. I'm just showing you like this is real life. Like, this is not a like, you know, sometimes this is the messy world I live in. So like then I said like dropped a tweet about this talk from Jeremy and Jono. Then I turned on Whisperflow and I just talked for like 15, I don't know, like not 15 minutes, maybe like 10 minutes. I just like dumps thoughts, like whatever in here. So it's okay, Jeremy and Jono. Oh, sorry, I didn't do that yet. Oh, first I said, okay, this is the YouTube description I landed on, so I gave him my YouTube description. So this is just copy and paste on like, whatever I ended up editing. Then this is like the whisper flow. I kind of like thought about what I wanted to say. Is like like to lean in the fact that it's a very unique programming environment, blah blah. Also mentioned that Jeremy, it's the whatever, and then yeah, and then kind of drafted the tweet. Um, and so I ended up using this. Um, I didn't use all of it. I just used the long form, so I just used this part. So I didn't do this. So then I like, you can see it's not completely copy and paste. Like there is some difference. Um, I edited the language obviously, but it got me there. Like I probably wouldn't have written this tweet. There's no way I'd have time like to completely do it from scratch. Um, like I think this one is definitely this sentence probably is from say live valuable environment. So it's like okay, I like that. So I kept that part. It was like a nice transition. But this like this other bit here. Let me go back. Where did I close the window? Oh wait, there it is. Yeah, but the most fascinating part, who's it for, period, that I hate it, right? Um, so like that is just no matter how much I prompt, I can't get rid of stuff like that because that's like signature AI nonsense. Like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it nonsense. I just don't like it. It's just too much of a like hook language, and I'm like, I don't need that. Like, so I got rid of it, and then like, yeah, Jeremy's take. I'm like, I'm like, this language is kind of weird, so like I had to redo that. This doesn't look like much, but actually like helped quite a bit. And I like remix some language from in here. So that's how it works is like just start with like small steps, like YouTube chapters, and then in this case, like I just use the fact that I was doing YouTube chapters first as a natural way of providing an outline. That then I edited, then I did like, okay, what's the YouTube summary? Then I edited that. Just that's the mental model of like go from small tasks to larger tasks. If they're on the same like cognitive path of like writing about a subject, you just want to structure your path doing that. Now, if I was going to do this a lot, I would probably move this out of Gemini and create a tool, like I did with the Discord thing or the annotated posts that I showed you. But I haven't like had time to try to automate social media posts. It would get there at some point, and it wouldn't ever completely automate it. It would just stage it somewhere as a draft, potentially, that then I could potentially edit. But I'm not really sure. I don't even know what I want. So I'm just sharing. I don't know if it's useful. You can see there's a lot of messiness. Like I'm not even like doing the best job. I could probably do a better job here, honestly. Um, is there any? Oh, yeah. I'll just stop because if you have
All right.
questions.
Yeah, I have like I'm allowed one question, right? So I want to kind of note something and maybe you can riff on it. What I loved most about this is it tied everything those of us who've been in the AI Evils course you do with Rhea to something that's like really personal and minimalistic. So if you do this course, you might think, oh, it's all very academic. It's only good for like a very scaled operation. And every bit that you're teaching, you're not doing kind of the most minimalist, immediate, marble version of it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty messy. Um, like the Discord thing is like I'm looking at data. I didn't start like trying to do error and like proper error analysis. I didn't need to, right? Like because it's just me. Maybe if I scaled it up a little bit more, and I started like making it for Shreya to use also, then yeah, I'll probably just start doing error. We'll probably both start doing error analysis, but it's just like I don't even know what I'm trying. I'm just like still building it, right? I'm like trying it out. We actually have this Gemini project the one I showed, like this evals one, Shreya has been trying it out to help her draft responses for the Discord. I mean, you can't share Gemini projects, but she's like created kind of her own with her own prompt, but taking the same context, really. Um, you know, and doing that. But whatever it is, like, we're just trying to get a sense, like, is it even valuable before we invest in like trying to like go crazy with creating tools and you know, if we were convinced like we want to make it into like a tool that we use every day, like hosted or something, especially if we had multiple users, then we would do proper evals.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see kind of the step just before it becomes this very kind of organized framework. So the course just finished. When is the next cohort?
Yeah. So the next cohort is in, so this is the course. Um there's a discount. There's like a discount everywhere. Like if you look properly, like there's a discount in my profile also. So if you go to like my X profile, there's this evals.info. You can just that's easy to remember. You get a discount that way. Anyways, it's in October. Um, you know, we're always improving it. We're always adding more information, and we have like we take all the student questions, we put it back into the book. There's a 160-page book that people get, walk through the whole process of doing evals, end to end. It's a pretty intensive course. It's like 4 weeks long. There's 8 lessons. There's guest speakers. Um, so yeah, and we show you how to do evals, but also take Eleanor's course. So yeah, it's worth showing. I mean, you should see her course actually. So that's like go to this course. It's like
Yeah, if I just may, just to say, because I've done now the evals course for the second time, and I thought, oh, second time might be boring, but the second time was like so many things that I was hit like, oh, now I get it, and I just want to kind of tell people that it's called an evals course, but it's a course about evals and about how to work with non-deterministic software and how to run experiments. It's amazing. Really recommended. So if you can do it in the next cohort or in the future, do it.
yeah, no, thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. Like if anyone has any questions about writing, I probably didn't get to a lot of things. Um, a lot of questions that people might have. Is the content available before October? We're actually taking a break because we are redoing the content. Actually, we are having everything being professionally recorded. It's actually like really impressive. Like, Eleanor's wife actually is like has a video creative media agency, and we've been working with her. She's been recording all her lectures, and basically we're taking all her lectures, making it very polished and like breaking it up into chapters so you can easily navigate. So the question is, you're going to want to wait till October, because that will be the result of it's going to be like a level up. Um, I'm looking at the chat, see if there's any questions. Um, on average, how much is the cost of having this workflow or close to it? Honestly, like Gemini's free tier is like, I haven't paid for Gemini yet. I don't know how. I use it like constantly. I don't know what the cost, like, I don't even know what the cost is. Uh, it's free for me. It's still free. I don't know, like what, I hasn't like told me to pay yet, so I don't pay. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Um, let's see if there's anything else. Can we have a sense of why level workflow before I blog? I pull data from X. I use this prompt and Y. Okay. I think you already asked me that question potentially, Eleanor. I think.
Yeah, I think this was a really good description of how you kind of build the context kind of iteratively. It was really good.
Yeah. I really like using notebooks. So like there is, like notebooks can also be good for writing. It's just that we're in a weird place right now where notebooks, like public notebooks, don't have great AI integration. There is like Marimo and there's Solvit, which are worth both checking out, that kind of allow you to like iteratively write. Um, I've also tried a lot of tools. Like I've tried this one recently for writing, Lex.page. I didn't like it. It's marketed a lot. I was like, let me try it. Um, I don't recommend it. Um, you can't use the full context window. It only goes up to like, even if you're using Gemini, it doesn't let you use more than like 300K tokens, and it's like, I use multimodal stuff. Um, and yeah. And like, what the good part is, like if you use AI Studio, by the way, is you can go up here to this code button, you see? And you can just like look at the code of like what you just did. And you can just like you could put this in LM or do whatever, and then you could just like get the code. That's what I did. Like half the time I'm like, oh, like how do you upload a movie and then XYZ ABC? Like I don't even look at documentation, I just do it. I just like prototype it out here and then I just export the code. So it's pretty good. Like that I'm like that's why I really like it so much. Um I joke like every time I use this I end up buying Google stock because I like it that much. So yeah.
That's brilliant. All right, Hamel, thank you so much. This was fascinating. And I guess we've all been taking notes. And yeah, probably we need a few more sessions like this to extract every bit of every hack and process. So to be
Yeah, it's also worth looking into Isaac's workflow. Like he has
yeah.
some writing workflows I think that he'll be covering, which are really fascinating, and we talk about it all the time. So some amalgamation of these workflows is probably really interesting.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone. And yeah, in 7 minutes we have Greg and Jake. This one is gonna be a banger too.
Sounds good. Happy to take
All right.
questions anytime, or you can also take a break if you want.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Have I seen any difference between the chat products instead of the APIs? Yeah, I feel like there's a difference in between even Gemini and AI Studio, but it's like very squishy. Like I haven't done an eval, um, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's like there's definitely more parameters in AI Studio that you can control, whereas like Gemini is more for consumer. Um, and you would maybe still call AI Studio a chat interface, but it doesn't feel. It feels like It feels like a notebook, and it doesn't feel like it's holding back. Whereas Gemini, I'm like, oh, like is it thinking? Is it not thinking? How much is it thinking? Is it thinking done gone? Is it like all the way up? Like I don't know. In AI Studio, I kind of know because all the parameters are there. Um, so I mean, I would, using AI Studio is interesting, but you can't have like these like projects in there. So whatever. Um, yeah. If you make a lot of, so like the content like all snowballs on each other, like if you once you start writing blog posts, you give those blog posts as examples to your um to the AI, and you have to, and so like it just becomes easier the more you do it. You just have to curate everything quite carefully, I find.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you have any tricks, Eleanor, for your writing? What do you do?
It's funny, but I'm increasingly doing all my writing in the editor and Visual Studio because just in Markdown. It's not really different. So I use the AI that's available there. Usually also Gemini 2.5 Pro. Yeah. but it's just somehow easier for me to control, and I can see diffs and things like this. And so I kind of got used to that. I also use Gemini, the app, sometimes, but I have exactly the suspicion that, like, I don't know what, like, are they bringing like memories from other conversations, or do they have some fancy stuff in the system prompt? Or if I'm just working with a text file, it's kind of, it's truly what you see is what you get. So yeah, it's mostly Visual Studio now for writing.
And do you have a monorepo as well for your life in writing? Like, all your different projects in one place. The model can like look through all of them, connect the dots between them.
Not really. I have a writing repo. So I have a writing repo that has a lot of prompts and like my style guide and like, well, kind of like audience definitions. I have like my own bag of tricks for how to do it, and I can just reference them from the agent.
It's using
But
ruler.
sorry.
Like, it's using ruler. Does it have ruler baked in? Like, and do you switch between a lot of different AI
Yeah, I mostly use
for the writing?
Visual Studio, but yeah, I have the
Okay.
configuration ruler just because it will be a bit embarrassing if I didn't use one tool. And also because it allows me to then try like whatever Codex CLI or Gemini CLI or one of these things. But yeah, it doesn't have like my code projects. It's just like a place where I do all my writing.
Ah, okay, cool. So okay, got it. So you're using like the Visual Studio Code. So you're not using Cursor, you're using like Copilot essentially or something
Yeah,
like
I'm
that.
using Copilot and VS Code.
How do you feel like it compares to like to Cursor, let's say? At,
You know, I'm a big fan of Copilot and Visual Studio, maybe I'm a little bit biased. And I haven't used Cursor for a while, so I used Cursor at some point when everyone was very excited about it, and I kind of looked at it and thought, it's not that great, and it's closed, and then I haven't really used it much since, so I don't know how it really compares kind of the version that is available this week. But I'm very happy Copilot user.
okay. Jeremy told me that he was pretty bullish on, or he thought, I heard him say like, he thought like Copilot was pretty close to Cursor, if not
It's
the
very
same.
powerful. So I think a lot of people kind of formed their opinion at the time where honestly the Copilot team was a bit asleep and Cursor kind of got a lead, but now it is really good actually.
Oh, cool. I wonder if there's like any advantage, like any features you get that are because of the first party nature of it that Cursor people don't. There might be
It's open
it'd be
source.
yeah.
You can use any model. So I think they have nice integration now with the background agent. So that's something that you get on GitHub, and Cursor obviously had to do themselves. Right.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
We're good.
This was
All right,
absolutely
thank you.
brilliant.
All right, thank
Bye.
you.